So good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Donny Chaingang with me, Matt Payne. We're here live from the old Beer Cellar Studios, and we've got a great route for you. I know lots of people haven't done the route this direction. It is very interesting indeed, something I have done deliberately because this is really, really tricky route tonight. We have our usual format with the gang staying together under Russ's control until the go, at which point our riders are then able to do pretty much whatever they want. They can cruise to the finish, they can sprint to the finish, they can race flat out to the finish, they can work as a group, they can work as individuals, but only from that go point. Let's see what's going to happen tonight. The man in control, the man who chose the route, he must have had a bit of a rush of blood to the head, is the only one and truly the only Russ down in the Fonzie the Bear himself. We're going to see if we can get hold of Russ. Now, there have been tech issues floating about in the area. Now, not particularly in the studio, but certainly with some of the tech. The question is, will it mean that the lines are not playing ball, or are we going to be able to get the one and only Fonzie Bear on the line on the other side? Let's see. Russ, are you there? Are you alive? Are you in the land of the living?
I'm just about here.
Well, that's a start. I'll take that.
Yeah, there has been some gremlins somewhere, I was just warming up earlier and then everything shut down. Then literally everything went black. And then my earphones stopped working, so I had to find another set of earphones. Then I've just got them working. And yeah, so hopefully we run smooth tonight.
Well, it's sometimes all the gremlins have to go out of the way nice and early. Now, it's due to be a really, really busy night tonight because we have got about, I think it should be around about the 125 mark-ish, depending on who goes in. Remember, of course, you can't always see everybody as well on the screens, particularly if we do go over that 100-rider mark. It makes life difficult, and it's something that some of the gang haven't had to worry about in the last few weeks, but back over that 100 mark means got to keep an eye on your screens. You've got to watch where that yellow beacon's because you won't see all the riders, will you?
No, that's it. It's just, so we can type all we want on screen and say, do this, do that. The easiest bit, stay around yellow until the go, and then we're all good. So, just, listen up, guys. And so those who are new, I'm sure you'll get the hang of it. And I'm sure you'll return as well if you're new tonight. So, let's enjoy it.
Yep, looking forward to it. It should be a good one. And I know you've been busy in the new pain cave that is taking shape. It's looking all wired in just about. Have you got, I'm not sure I dare ask this, when do you reckon it's finally going to be done, the world's longest build of a pain cave?
I don't know. Rome wasn't built in a day. So, as you can see, there's some gadgets and some boys' toys in there. So, it's no normal pain cave, but we'll keep slogging along. And hopefully by 2022, I might be in there.
They're steady. Steady, I like it. Well, let's try and catch up a little bit further around. Let's show people what they've got coming up on this route. And Russ, from me, having ridden this, all I can say is good luck holding everyone together in the first half a lap on those hills. It's going to be fun.
Hopefully we'll be right, and people haven't had too much coffee and all that stuff that they take to go out the blocks on a Zwift ride. But it's like no other. We have to go out steady, unlike a Zwift race.
Yep, there is one and only Donny Chaingang. Cheers, Russ. We'll catch you soon. So that's a quick chat with Russ done. Let's show you where we're heading tonight. Now, everybody knows this course, or thinks they do, but we go in the opposite direction around. It is going to be a really tricky route for all of our riders because they are going to head out and around in the opposite direction. This means that although we have a shorter lead-in, it's only 0.1k lead-in, we do have 3 laps at 16.2, just like normal. We finish as we come underneath the banner. The downside of all this is the way that the course will run. Now, the Zwift Hacks map shows where we are heading as we go out and round. The yellow beacon is Russ Downing, our red beacon, and massive thank you to all of our volunteers. Well, key thing is it's Carl tonight, and Carl Johnson, one of our very experienced riders out on the Chaingang. But if we swap over to our fantastic friends at Velo Viewers profile, you can see exactly why it's going to be tricky, because We start at the top of the plateau. We then go around this course in a clockwise direction, which means at 1k we've already descended down off the plateau. By 2k we're climbing the first hill. By 3k we're onto the second big steep hill. We then drop down a little bit of a regroup. Once we hit the 7k mark, we then have a kilometre plus climb to go up back onto the plateau. And then it's a steady rise up until the left hand side of your screen before dropping all the way steadily back to the start. Essentially, key things to remember: stay together on these roller coasters. The roller coasters, the very steep climbs, are gonna break the group up, and the aim of the Chaingang is to steadily build up on the way through. Now, it looks like we've got a few guests in with us. We're going to jump in and try and have a chat with some of them later on. Just seeing Alistair Brownlee is on here. I know Andy Hawes is recovering from the tour of Britain, so we're going to be seeing him very shortly. I'm sure he's not yet back on, and I don't blame him. He's got the women's tour coming up very shortly. Got a lot of our fast riders, both male and female, on here, and it looks like a huge contingent of riders from Bolsover and District. I was lucky enough to be on their hill climb on the mic. Well, I say their hill climb, it's our hill climb because they're my club too. And really looking forward to being back there next year for the Hardwick Hill Climb on closed roads. So let's see how the Bolsover gang get on. We have also, of course, got Xander Graham on the gang, a regular on the Chaingang, and he's back on once again. So let's take a little bit of a look across and just see how everybody is doing. As you can see on your screens up there, the riders getting ready to leave the blocks. We are going to give a follow on, and we're going to sit with Russ as they come out of the blocks. Now, traditionally, as you come in, we would come onto the main part of the course and turn right. We're going to come onto the main part of the course and go left and straight down the hill. So this is going to be really, really interesting to watch just what is going to happen to these riders out there. So remember, up on the top of the screen, the watts being produced by the rider with the name across the middle of it. That is a Russ Downing leader, the bear, the yellow leader of the DCG. 100 watts, 91 revs per minute, heart rate currently 80. Tells you how fast he's going, currently about 30 kph. Also tells you how far he's gone and what the time is. Top right hand side of your screen, the map. Now we are going to be moving this map about a little bit, and we're going to just show you that because we can have it in a 2D version. We can zoom out to get a better look of where our riders are on the course. You can just see they're coming into that right-hand turn. And we can also show you it in 3D. Now, what will happen is as we drop down, you can see that line is stringing out. As we come into the climbs, hopefully it will come back together again. The aim is to keep a blob that is really, really sticky and tight. Now, with the new draft, the new dynamics on Zwift, it is much more realistic, particularly if you've not been on since last winter. So remember, keep an eye on the riders because it is very, very yo-yo-y. It is going to make a big difference, that because you don't sit in the same place. The computer's now working out much better where everybody is, and you get less jumping through other bodies, which is really, really critical. So let's jump in with the Chaingang. Let's jump in with our riders out on the course here live on the Downey Cycling YouTube channel with me, Matt Payne, for the Donny Chaingang. So still in watching Russ on his way down here. We're just keeping an eye on that group. Our red beacon at the back, just trying to track back in. We're going to jump in with our drone camera. Very handy thing to have. And as you can see, that red beacon at the moment already having to work quite hard. Carl, one of our regulars on the red beacon duties, and just making sure everything ticks back together again. Remember, no need to push on the front. If you're pushing now, you're pushing it at the wrong time because you are going to get a bit of a pasting a little bit later on. You just see Russ with the yellow chevron over his head. He is our ride leader. He's the man who is in control of the pace. He'll be shouting the odds as we come in. And if we take a little bit of a look, you can see we're on to our first climb, this stepped climb up. Well, this is definitely tough stuff. So let's give you a little reminder of the profile on the course there. As you can see, left-hand side of your screen, we're onto the first of those saw-teeth profiles are just coming up onto the red sections. A big thank you to all of the team at Velo Viewer for the graphics of the first of those pointy climbs. That's where we are at the moment as our riders start to head up the climb. So the riders just keeping it together as much as possible. This is critical at this stage. Really, really hard to hold everybody in. And we've got a whole load of returning riders. Good to see Mr. Taylor. He's back from his holidays. The man behind 1080, the Oakley promotions that we do, as well as giving away a massive discount in his shop, which is already one of the cheapest places and one of the best places to buy Oakleys in the UK. Certainly the best in my opinion. Well, Ian is back with us, shame about his tasting jerseys, but you know, hey ho, can't have everything. Ben from Velo Viewer is here. Ben, one of our fast riders. Velo Viewer, of course, responsible for our fantastic graphics. We do have more things we can do, and we've got some interesting plans that we'll have to decide whether we are going to use them, quite simply because of the amount of time it would take to do. We've got some great graphics. It is the best tool ever, having the advantage of being in the commentators guild, for want of a better word. We are generally privileged to a little bit more information, and it allows us to look at exactly what is going on. Now, we're just going to take a little bit of a look at this group. It looks like Jeff Saysel at the moment on 2.8 watts per kilo, just being distanced by the group up at the front here. So you can just see he is just in front of Mark Tickhill at the moment. So we'll get the drone cam rolling. So as you can see, coming up round these corners, this course, this undulating start already starting to distance riders. Now, Mr. Taylor just going to push on to the back of the group. Mr. Griffiths is there, Carl, I think, just at the back. And the gang here, riders finding it definitely is making life difficult for those at the back. Remember that the algorithm takes into account a multitude of things. It takes into account your speed, your weight, your height. It takes into account what equipment you've got, what kind of bike you're riding, what kind of wheels you're riding. All those things will affect how the ride is ridden and how that ride will play out. So you do need to remember, guys, make sure you stay around that yellow. Neil Tukey, a man who never knows where the finish line is. Mate, you really need to join the DCG gang. That is absolutely critical, because guess what? All the DCG gang members, the Donny Chaingang Supporters Club members, all get a heads up. Tells you, 1, where the finish line is, 2, how far we're going, how many times we're going around the course. It also will tell you whereabouts the attack's going to be, what sort of ride you want to be on, where you need to be making the moves. As you can see now, up onto the second of the sawtooth profile, so you can just see on the second of those big sections of climb. We're then going to drop in to the wiggles. Let's show you the wiggly section. So we're coming up on to the red section of climb, up to the top. So heading out, we've done the purple first part of the climb, we've done the second climb, that's the red section that takes us up, and then we drop back down once again. So going to need a bit of a regroup. It's not doing too badly. I mean, I must admit, I thought this would smash to pieces massively once we came up and over the top, but at the moment it's looking good. Let's just jump in with Alistair Brownlee. Alistair in here and riding. It's good to have Alistair back on the Chaingang once again. A lastminute.com emergency join up from Alistair. Good to see you on there, mate. Now let's have another little check of who else is out and about. Just coming back in once again. Now Cam Fraser is back with us. See, Cam is in here. Looks like Mr. Bundy is as well. Let's take a little look at this young man. Well, I'm sure you've all seen plenty of action for Xander Graham. Xander riding here, young, age 12, and if you haven't spotted him, well then you can't have been watching TV ever or on social media ever, because this young man has been all over it at the moment, and we're going to catch up with him a little bit later on. So you can just see it's just starting to string out. The guys at the front need to have a little look behind, because the yellow beacon, I'm just running back past Darren Cooling, past Maddie Smith, Past Mr. Farron, looks like in Bale on here. We're back in with Russ at the moment. And as we watch the couples on the way down here, you're going to need to be looking at the map. And the guys at the front, to be honest, you can just sit up, have an espresso, have a coffee, chill out, grab some Grand Tour coffee if you're a member of the DCG gang. Neck one of the drinks, one of the bars that come out from the OTE gang. And remember, OTE, of course, one of our key supporters, one of the people who look after the members of the DCG gang, the Donny Chaingang Supporters Club. This is how we keep the wheels rolling in the virtual world. We keep the coverage coming out, and Russ and I can continue to bring you the Chaingang twice a week, every week. Plus, of course, we've launched the Women's Only Wednesdays. Really looking forward to the return of those. They're kicking off on the 23rd. The route is going to be heading out and about. We've got lots of great routes. Our ride leader, and this is Emma. Emma, of course, the coach, the rider, the Yellow Beacon, aka the boss, on the women's chain gang. On form, taking a podium at the National Mountain Bike Series as well. The Downey Cycling coach rider, absolutely on form and flying. Now looks like the gang just starting to roll back together. So let's take a little bit of a look. You can see it on the top of your map. If you can't see it on your map, then you're doing something wrong, but at the moment it's looking good. As we're into hill climb season, good to see that we've got Jess Evans on here. Jess in the orange jersey there, and gone for a lightweight bike as well. So good to see Jess is back in with us and on great form in the hill climbs as well. So good to see Jess is back in with us. Maddie Smith is here. Maddie I saw in action on the hill climb at the Hardwick Hill Climb, the unique Hardwick Hill Climb up at Hardwick Hall on closed roads at night in the dark. If you haven't seen it, well, you need to go on to Facebook. You need to get some views of those pictures. There's some brilliant pictures. I think it's as popular with the photographers as it is with the spectators, just because it is just so photogenic. Now, heading out and away, we're on these lower slopes at the moment. We've just got Jimmy Allen on the gang here, the man who's stood in for Russ previously. Looks like our yellow and red beacons just rolling around at the back, and I think Jeff just took it in at the back here. So good to see Jeff Saysel in here, and the two beacons patrolling at the work was at the back, which is what we want to see. That is good control, guys. So if we take a little look at the map, then we can pull you up what is essentially the map. Let's drag it a little bit bigger. So just to see at the moment, we've come round the red. We're now along the lower flatter section down there. We're then going to move up on to the K long climb. We hit that at about 7k, so just under a k to go before we will be off that and heading out into the first of the climbs before we head up on to the flatlands. But at the moment, everybody looks to be behaving themselves, pretty much all the gang all together, which is what we want to see. So you can just see everybody rolling nicely. Now, if you are a regular, if you're a member of the DCG gang, the Donny Chaingang Supporters Club, then don't forget we always have lots of great giveaways. We aim to make sure that we bring you lots of value for being a member of the DCG gang. So Halloween will be back. The guys at Halo, the best wheels in the business, and the wheels that keep Russ and myself turning, as well as the members of the DCG gang, with a great giveaway coming up at Halloween. We're expecting some more. We've got no doubt OTE back with us, and we'll be working with them as usual. Remember, of course, a 20% discount for all members of the DCG gang on OTE products, and that means whether it's recovery drinks, energy bars, duo bars, which are absolutely as addictive as anything, or energy gels, whether you want hydration because you're indoors, then we're going to be making sure those discounts coming out to the members. Say a big thank you for helping us keep the show on the road. At the moment, the gang nicely together here. And we have essentially the gang, the DCG the Donny Chaingang, which is the ride, and then we have the supporters club, the DCG gang, the Donny Chaingang supporters club, and that the DCG gang. That is how the show keeps on rolling. It means you also don't have to worry about the links coming out at the last minute, because we have a duty of care to our riders, and we do take that very seriously because we have a lot of young riders on the gang. We do make sure that we go through and filter the riders. We get rid of spam bots, we get rid of rip it up merchants, we get rid of people who are potentially abusive, etc, etc. You get the idea. And what we do is we make sure that they're not in the gang, and the people who are on the gang are going to play the game, are going to help everybody along, improve everybody. It's a very positive place to be, is the Donny Chaingang, and we want to keep it that way. So there is a cut-off of 1 hour before. In the period between that and you getting the links, we will be taking out riders. Now, you may have noticed a few people didn't get their links till later on. That's quite simply because there were quite a few spam bots floating about in the ether today that needed getting rid of, as well as 1 or 2 ne'er-do-wells, great phrase that, who were refused entry onto the ride tonight. So just remember, guys, if you don't get it, make sure you pop it up on the Facebook page. Generally, you'll see if you're alone, it's going to be something to do with the computer or the email that you've got. If there's lots of you, it tends to mean that we are just wading our way through people who we don't necessarily want on the gang. So if you've made it, well done. Good to have you with us. Good to have you on the Donny Chaingang. If you want to avoid having to be patrolled, then if you join up as a member of the DCG gang, and we've got a block sort of running right through to Christmas, then that means you need not worry. We vet all of our members on the way in as a member, and that means that they don't need doing every ride. They get the links straight away. As soon as we get them out, and the DCG gangs gets the supporters club gets the news first. So whether that's our women's Wednesdays, the 14 dates of where they are and where they're heading, first port of call will be the supporters club, who will get the news first. Then it will be those who have signed up for links on the women's Wednesdays. Then eventually it'll be those who sign up for the ride. The ride's opening for single rides 25 hours before, cutting off 1 hour before. Now, just rolling in with Cam Fraser in here. Good to see Mr. Fraser back on the gang again. One of our fast riders, and again, somebody who's not afraid to go back and help out. And as we come up, heading towards the upper levels of this climb, we've got to get over the 8k mark to get up and beyond the top. So looks pretty smooth at the moment, just with Mr. Atkinson at the moment. Well, just loving the message that went up on the board from one who will remain nameless on the messenger. Oops, just hit the front of shame. Somebody please pass me quick. Absolutely love it. Yep. No one wants to be on the front. No one wants to be disappearing off. Let's have a little look down. Looks like Carl just patrolling the back. Mr. Woodall. Well, Mr. Woodall has a habit of yo-yoing at the back, backwards and forwards on his way through. Let's see what's going to happen. I think it's going to be okay. So the gang just starting to stretch out. The group now heading up onto the flatlands. Looks a little bit A little bit opened up at the moment. We are going to try. Let's see if we can get in touch. We've got a few people that we want to have a chat with. Let's see if we can pick them up on the line. It's been a bit of a busy week for a number of people, that's for sure. And we are just working our way around the gang at the moment. Just on the hunt for a few people who are going to be there. Now, if you've been anywhere other than Mars, you'll have recently witnessed the peloton on the tour of Britain finding themselves being distanced a little bit and dragged up the hill by a young man who we know well on the Donny Chaingang, a young man who has actually has been sprinting up the hill to take victory, because one of the big advantages of the Chaingang being on Zwift is that we can actually make sure that we get the riders who we want to see out and on the gang, and we're going to jump in with young Xander Graham. Hopefully is going to be on the end of the phone line. Xander, how are you doing?
Good, you?
I'm really good, mate. I'm really good. It's good to have you back on the Donny Chaingang.
Yeah.
Now, you're 12 years old and
Yep.
you ride regularly on the Chaingang. You're also a regular cyclocross rider, aren't you?
Yeah.
So, often out riding cyclocross, and we've all seen the pictures of you riding along. When you were going along, did you think you'd be able to keep up with them?
I actually didn't, but surprisingly I could keep up with them.
Well, they weigh a little bit more, don't they?
Yeah. I mean, you've done 180k before that, though.
Well, that's true. And how far had you ridden at that stage?
About a kilometre or two.
That I'm
there.
liking your kilometre or two. That's a much better idea to me. Then one of us might have had a chance. I think it's going to be you out of the two of us. And you're riding right now, and we can see at the moment just ticking along at 85 watts. And do you mind me asking, how much do you weigh, Xander?
33 kilograms.
33 kilograms, so that's going to be about a third of the weight of some of our bigger riders, so that's going to help on the hills. Is there a disadvantage when you're riding on Zwift to being so light?
A wee bit, sometimes on the flats and the descents, but on the climbs it's a bit easier.
A bit easier, a lot easier, I'm hoping. That is for sure. I'm hoping it's a lot easier. No, what we don't want is all of our Chaingang riders just trying it and setting their turbos to 33 kilos because they'll be flying. And your numbers are pretty big. Now, you were riding on the Chaingang all the way through the winter. Have you got a favourite course that you actually like on Zwift?
No, I like all of the courses on Zwift.
Right, Tempest Future all the way then, is it? So we're all right if we go for something like that, then
Yeah.
make it hard. Okay. Is there a course you really, really don't like? There must be one that if we put it on there, you'd go, ugh.
What do you think? I'm not a fan of the small courses. I don't really like Paris.
So if it's a short course, you're not so happy?
Nah, I like quite long ones.
Okay, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. I'm just watching the messages come in from people. There's a number of riders who are definitely saying that you definitely weigh less than a third. You're exactly 1/3 of Gareth Mason. You're technically a third of, I think, of Chris Heseltine James and Sam Shepherd. You're less than a third. Jimmy Allen says he's 104. He's definitely not 104 kilos, Jimmy Allen, that's for sure. He's definitely quicker than that. And I think, Dan Hepton says he's 100 kilos. I don't believe him either. He's far too quick for 100 kilos. There's not too many people. Russ, we'll ask Russ when he's on in a minute how much Russ weighs. What's the most power that you've put out?
I think it was 680 watts last year.
Oh, ouch, 680. Blimey,
Yeah.
and that's some good. And what would you fancy do? Are you going to stay on the Zwift during the all of the winter? Is that your plan?
Yeah, my plan's to stay on Zwift during the winter because of the weather forecast.
Yeah, and you are Scotland. Are you Edinburgh based, I think?
Yeah, Edinburgh based. Just
Okay.
outside Edinburgh.
Okay, so it's not exactly unknown for you to get some pretty bad weather in the winter, is it, compared to the soft southerners like Gareth Mason?
Mhm.
He's definitely likely to get a little bit more sun. So I think what we're going to do is we are going to let you do some pedalling, because I don't think we're far off hitting the next descent very shortly. I think we're going to let Vin do some maths. I'm loving the messages coming in. If you're looking like you're not blowing a gasket, we might come back to you at the end of the ride, Xander, if that's all right, and see how you got on today. Is that all right?
Yep, that's fine.
Mega, right, we're going to let you get back, and we're going to have to find a way to make you breathe hard one way or the other. So cheers, mate. We'll catch you soon.
All right, thanks, Matt.
See you then. Bye. So great to catch up with Xander there, who's out on the course, and as you've heard, doesn't weigh much, but has got a lot of power. One of our quick riders and one of our regulars on the Chaingang. So we're going to see just how he gets on. We'll have a chat back with him. We'll catch up with him. We won't do what we do to Russ, though, and pick a really evil time on the climbs, and hoping we'll manage to do a few more catch-ups. Now, interestingly, a few people are saying, where's your interview? It's really easy. You want an interview, you go get the coverage that this young man has managed to get, and be able to ride uphill as fast as he did, and be cool enough to take the bottle and experience the tour experience. I'm not sure I was that cool at 12 and collected. I definitely wasn't, that's for sure. I think I'd have just been panicking. So let's see who's going to do the business. This is a very tricky course. Got to remember that this course is not the sort of course which suits necessarily a solo lightweight rider, because we have got all the hills in the first half of the lap. We've got this long, flat, fast section that follows. And that means our riders are going to find that as they are accelerating through, fighting the way around this circuit, what they're going to do is they are going to get caught if they're on their own, because a bunch is going to travel much, much faster. So just make sure you keep your eyes peeled. The gang's staying very blob-like at the moment, and just gonna dive in there. So if we're going to catch up with Xander again, we want some questions from you. We're going to want to know. We'll try and keep an eye on the messages. So if you want to know what Xander has to say about anything, don't be evil and mean. We want some good, sensible questions for him, ones that I can't think of. Then put it in there, and we will see if we can catch up with them. Now, just interestingly, we've got one of our AEO team riders in. This isn't Emma, who's normally to be seen in the AEO kit. It's her new teammate, and this is Gagan in the gang here. So Chloe Gagan running for the AEO team. It's the number one women's team now, in fact, in on the Zwift platform, and looks like Chloe well settled in there nicely on a Tron bike as well. And I know they're already up and racing. They've got some great scores out, and then put on a lot of rides as well. So definitely into putting a lot back in again. Looking forward to seeing a lot of the Aeonian team. Hopefully on the women's only Wednesdays on the Donny Chaingang. So women's only Wednesday, Donny Chaingang, WOW DCG, as it's eventually going to become known as universally, quite simply because it's a lot easier to say, is going to be kicking off on the 22nd on the Wednesday next week. And our first course that we're going to be heading out is going to be a really nice, simple route, honest gov, in the sense that it pays to stay in the bunch. So encouraging the bunch riding, and it's going to be at Tempest Fugit. Great question from Neil on the Crosscast. Neil, my co-host on the Crosscast, which we recorded yesterday, and of course the one of the key people at Gritty. Are you riding any of the national trophies, or is that still another year away? Well, that's a great question to ask, because of course we're up in Scotland for the national trophies. I have the pleasure of being on the mic for all of the national trophy series and the national championships this year. So looking forward to heading up, seeing Fraser, who comes on the Chaingang, the organizer of the ride up of the National Trophy race, and looking forward to catching up with Fraser and all of the team up in Falkirk, and hopefully, we might be bumping into him on the way through. So our gang running in towards the drop down. The gang are absolutely smooth. This is what we want to see. Team rolling along, keeping it nice and smooth, not messing about, and just holding everything together. Speaking of cross, a great discussion. Make sure you catch up with the discussion in terms of works. There's a reason that we've picked on Mr. Drabble, another member of the DCG gang, the Donny Chaingang Supporters Club. Great to have him in the club. That has a huge number of rather big names in there as well. So great to see who's up and up for joining the supporters club, including a certain Mr. A. Brownlee, oddly enough. So we just joined downstairs. Actually have the Trail Dog, Indie Trail Dog down here. We're going to be coming up for 2 laps to go. He's intently watching the screen for the avatars. Don't know that it'll make any of us go any quicker. And in fact, the Trail Dog, Indie the Trail Dog, weighs almost exactly the same as Xander at 33 kilos. There you go. So Xander Graham is 33 kilos. So is the Trail Dog, sat down here waiting to go. And they both go like something off a shovel when it goes uphill, that's for sure. So, Chaingang rolling well. Everybody's all together. Looks like nobody's going mad at the moment. 1 lap done and ticked off. It's going to be 2 laps to go. So, finish line in and under. Mr. Tukey was the man who was asking where the finish was. He's probably fallen asleep somewhere or not paying attention. Or maybe he's just entering the details in the form to get him a member of the Donny Chaingang Supporters Club. And got to hope that he's typing his details in now, because of course he will make sure he gets the details, the ride routes, etc. straight away. Now, just keeping an eye on the riders. Gang stayed together so far. So Neil from the Crosscast not recognising the route this way round at all. I don't blame you. Interesting to see that Xander Graham at the moment at the back of the bunch is having to work hard. Maybe this is where he gets a hard time. He's got Matt Gilmore with him. Now, Matt is another of our young, fast riders here. So the two youngsters at the back of the gang here. And you can just see the amount of what's going in from Matt Gilmore to try and chase on to the back of the group here. With Xander having to put in a decent-sized sprint here. And the 2 younger, lighter riders, this is where being light does not pay off. If you get distance from the bunch, then you are in trouble. So that's a good heads up for riders if you are looking to distance them later on. So just riding in with Gilmore, we've got Brad Cheeseman just on the back here. Matt at the back, just going to just squeeze his way back onto the group. Carl Johnson sitting at the back of the gang here. As we make our way around this turn onto this climb now. So heading back up the hill, everyone aiming to look after each other. Let's see if they're going to be able to do that as our riders now start climbing this hillside. So 7% gradient at the moment. The red beacon busy at the back. Just keeping an eye on Carl Johnson. Our red beacon doing a great job of shepherding the riders around. And you can see just how tough a course is. It's not my favourite course in any way, shape or form this direction. I've done it a few times this way round. Feeling a little bit crazy to do it at the time, but it paid off when we came to knowing what this was going to do. It's not easy at all because of those brakes, because of those. But just seen Dan Farrander just at the back here, the true Sapien rider who was in action at the hill climb, just sitting in at the back here. Now he's in recovery at the moment. He's starting to get back into shape and riding well. Interestingly, he knows he can go uphill well, so he's gone for deeper wheels, so he's got a bit more advantage on the flatter, faster sections there. So just keeping a check on Daniel. So it looks like just rolling in with the group. We're going to just jump up above. So sat there in the grey and orange, just jumping up over the top, and the bit's pretty accurate as well, which is always interesting to see. It's good to see Mr. Shepherd is back in the gang with us once again. So Mr. Shepherd jumped in here. And the back having to do a little bit of a squeeze here. Brown Sword just having to push at the back of the group here to get back in touch. Just seeing the gang push it on here at the back of the pack. You can just see Farron just doing the right thing, just squeezing a little bit at the moment. Looks like Keith Hayward at the moment just distanced off the back there. Is Kai Hurst also not quite in touch with the back. The guys are going to need to really squeeze, because you go over the top, you can just see, take a look at that line. It's one long, very, very, very thin line, and that is why you do need to be sitting in with the main part of the pack, because as we drop down here, you're going to see, as we take a look, it's one long strung out line dropping down. We're going to go around this left hand turn. It's a slight rise, then we've got another kicker to come straight back up the front, now hitting that, and you're going to see the pace coming off those blobs at the front. The back of the group now starting to push to get back in touch. So Russ just at the back of the pack has come around here, 20% on this course going this way. It is absolutely horrible as you come around these inside of these turns, and then it just straightens out. If we jump up in the air, you can just see that the road just goes straight up to the top. Then it's a slight kink at the very end before dropping down and in, but at the moment the whole of this gang just stretched out on the slopes. Our drone just shooting around, and you can just see it starts to stretch as it levels off over the top. This is where the group starts to open up. This is where the gang starts to stretch out, and where you can start to see the distance opening. The distance from that red to the yellow beacon now long enough that the red beacon is a pillar of light. That's a surefire indicator that the gaps have opened up. If you can see a chevron, you're close by. If you just see a pillar, you're a long way away, and you need to get back in touch with the yellow beacon. So the guys on the front are going to be dropping down that hillside very, very quickly indeed. We're just in with Rob Wimble here. And let's see Rob on the Chaingang yet again, another of our real regulars on the Donny Chaingang Supporters Club. Good to have Rob, one of our members. Just going to take a little bit of a look. Mr. Thorpe's in here as well. So let's just ride in with Thorpe onto this descent. So down from that descent, our riders all just starting to get strung out a little bit as they've come down that section. If we take the map in and out, you can just see Russ a little bit closer up towards the front. And this before the final big climb. We've got a little bit of a chance to regroup on the flat section here. And you can just see, look at these riders coming through. They are strung out a long way from front to back. We didn't actually get the entire group through. I'm going to try and take a look back to where the riders are. It looks like Carl and the riders around, and you see them appearing. This is because we only get 100 rider avatars appearing at one time. So it looks like Carl and the gang here just coming round that turn. And if we take a look up at the map, the yellow beacon out of sight on all but the zoomed out map. So that is going to be pretty tough stuff. So looks like Mr. Barton in this group's bet. Sam Shepherd's in here as well. Looks like Kai Hurst a little bit further back, so it looks like Kai's going to be getting those racing excuses out again. Let's have a little bit of a look. It's Ken Carrigan. Looks like Lock in here. Cheeseman, Cannon's in here. It looks like Gagan in this group, just trying to close back down onto the group that contains Russ at the moment. It is well and truly lined up. You can see Julie Leodis in here from Bolsover as well. So let's take a little bit of a run up towards where Russ is at the moment. In fact, we'll use our cheat mode and go straight in with Russ. So, Russ and this, the leading group at the moment, just waiting to see those groups close up. You can just see behind Russ and behind the pack a huge amount of riders. If we use the key number 6, this is the key one that most people see. Russ will be seeing double here because he quite literally has this as his default most of the time, which is the rear view mirror, so that he can keep a check on everybody. So just watching the gang come back together behind. The front just needs to watch the pace as it comes onto this climb. You need to crest the top together, but you can see plenty of riders at the moment having a pretty tough time down there. So on our way into the climb to head up on to the plateau once again. This is our chasing group in with Julie Otis at the moment, and Julie on that Tron bike at the moment, just trying to close the gaps down here. She's doing the work to bring them back on to Russ. In fact, bridging across solo pretty much, because it looks like Mr. Singleton behind has not gone with Julie to get across that gap. That was a really key moment. It's very easy to get distance, and as you can see, Singleton at the moment just off the back of this group. Gagan's in this little pack here as well. Then we've got a little bit of a gap back to the next chasing pack behind, and then I think Brown Sword just at the moment distance. We've got Finney, and then we should have quite a few in the gaps in between. You can just see them now popping up on the screens. And Carl Johnson driving the red bus at the back. Well, Carl's now starting to get a collection of riders. So our gang just starting to close up at the back as well. Just seeing Ian Bell with the dropout, I think, off the back of that pack. So let's take a little bit of a run back up the group, because the main pack nicely up on to the climb. So you'll Mr. Gilmore back in this group up near the front. Shirley Childs is in here. Simon Runner in the gang. Simon, of course, going to be our red beacon on Thursday. If you're a member of the DCG gang, the Donny Chaingang Supporters Club, you will already have the details of where we're going and all of the links to join. If you're not a member of the DCG gang, you're just joining a ride at the time, then you'll find that will open with 25 hours to go. Good to see Scott Easter's back in with us again. So the Mag Speed rider back in with the squad, just sitting on the wheels. We're going to try and catch up with Russ as we get up near the top of this slope. So hopefully he's going to be in a position to bring this little lot back together again. Fingers crossed. So Ian Bale's lost his connection, so he's currently just fighting to stay in touch with everybody. So Russ just holding the front of the pack here at the moment, and just going to try and regroup the gang back together again, as we're just going to work our way around trying to get a better look at that on the map. while simultaneously about to bring in the one and only, the man, the second most famous man after Xander Graham on the Chaingang today. It is Russ Downing. Russ, how you doing?
It's all right till you rang. I was on the front, and then heard you on YouTube, said you were going to ring me. Panicked, picked my phone up, got dropped.
Have to give you some warning, mate. It's, you know, otherwise you'd be juggling the phone whilst live on air, which is always entertaining. I'm impressed, mate. I've got to say, the gang is holding together really rather well around this course. If you remember, you'll know exactly what I wrote in the members' email, which was quite scathing about this route, about how bad it is. But I think it has proved that the gang is really well controlled, and it's very, very tight, isn't it? It looks after each other.
Yeah, I think it's only took nearly 20 months or so to realise you don't poke the bear, or things happen. But you know, it's always course dependent where it splits and makes a mess. But like back then, we were going just, you know, like I said, 3s, 3 and a bit, 2.8s, and we were really looking after each other. Yeah, it's getting strung out now, but we're dipping away. But you know, we must be going hard. I'm at 105 beats per minute.
I know it's your heart rate. So I don't normally leave it till you've already got into the hundreds before we give you a shout, but it's also about picking the part of the course. And it's deceptive, the top, isn't it? It's called the Fan Flats, the circuit around the top on Zwift, but actually it's not that flat. It is draggy till you get into that part of the circuit.
Yeah, I think we've done Fan Flats, haven't we? We've had a good rip up round there, and it, like I say, it's just slightly uphill out of the corners, and like I say, that's what Richmond does to you. Like I say, I've ridden it in real life, and it is very grippy.
Yep, definitely grippy. One man who's not going to have any problems with the hills, young Xander Graham. Great to catch up with him, and we might have to make him a regular because he can talk while still riding along quite comfortably by the looks of it.
Yeah, you know, he might have to take my job. So yeah, it's all fun.
Definitely, he's flying along. Maybe when we run a youth special for under 18s only, we'll have Xander as our yellow beacon. Maybe only if he can manage to blag himself a Jumbo Visma kit for the role. Maybe that might be what he needs.
I think he's done that already. He's got a drawful, probably.
It probably has. Now, just seeing this group, it's just starting to fracture at the back. We're just seeing one or two people struggling at the back here. And the pace is pretty hot. I mean, we're doing 45 kph, and you can just see groups behind where you are at the moment. We're just seeing some good riders in here. Taylor's in here. Tim Corby's in here. Richardson's in here. A little bit further back, you've got people like Sean Ferron and Steve Cannon, Paul Dickinson. There's some pretty quick riders at the back here who at the moment are not in with the that front group, and it soon fractures, doesn't it?
Yeah, you can see the gap slightly opening, 20, 30 guys back, and it's going to be nasty to close that, but I'm sure they'll cope.
Definitely, and I think what we are going to see, I mean, we are for the first times pretty much since the summer, seeing people appearing as we move back through the pack, as we get more and more riders. That 100 rider limit around you, once we start moving back, we do start picking up more and more riders. You can actually see there's quite a lot of riders actually now distance. If you're off the back, the advice from Russ, I would imagine, is find a group quick.
Yeah, definitely find a group quick, because if you don't, then you're going to go backwards quick. So yeah, have a look on your map, see if there's any blobs around you, and pick them up, ride to the finish. You know, anyone who comes on the DCG, you won't be the fastest and you won't be the slowest. There's always going to be someone squeezing.
Yep, and we don't have one regular winner. I did get to see lots of our riders on the DCG in action in real life at the Hardwick Hill Climb. I'm looking forward to seeing loads on the cross as well, but I know you've been out and about catching up with people as well, and it is great to see riders that we only normally see as avatars in real life.
Yeah, it's so good now, you know, events are coming back, and we're actually meeting these avatars, and some of them don't look anything like they do online, but they still got some great characters. Got some great characters on the gang.
Oh, mine's pretty realistic. It's thin, and it's definitely grey, and it's definitely all of 85 kilos. So that's not too bad. Now, whilst you've got you, Russ, weight-wise, Xander is 3 kilos. That matches Indy the trail dog, who's sat half asleep down there somewhere. Now, how big is your beast of a dog?
He's about the same as me, I think. 67, 68 kilos or something like that.
Okay, so basically double Xander.
Yeah.
Yeah, near enough.
It's quite a chunk. Yeah, he's definitely a big unit. I think he could squeeze 2,000 watts out, I reckon. Big Bruce.
Well, be interested to see. Maybe we'll have to get them on some kind of treadmill thing just to see how fast and how much power they can kick out one way or another. I'm sure we could get in touch with Neil from the Crosscast and his engineering lab to give us an idea. Now, they're all quite light because a number of our riders are well over 100 kilos, and that is hard work up these hills. But one of the things we do like about the Swift is it pulls the group together. It doesn't matter whether you're 33 kilos or 103 kilos. Riders are much closer together.
Yeah, sorry, I was just looking down and it's an issue actually, but look, right, carry on. I've dropped my bottle.
That's it, he's dropped his bottle. Well, in that case, maybe we better let you dive back into it. And I'm going to try and catch you up with some of our riders out on the course because it's getting really noisy as we hit the cobbles. So, Russ, enjoy the rest of the ride and we'll catch up with you near the end.
Cheers, mate. Thanks a lot.
Well, great to catch up with Russ. Let's just dive back into the ride. Now, I know there's been a couple of messages. Would he beat Connor Swift's dog? Right, for power, no. So Connor has a Vizsla from memory. Vizslas are, I think, third, if not fourth fastest dog. Fastest dog in the world is Greyhound. Second fastest is a GSB, a German Shorthair Pointer like Indy, and they can run for longer. Then you've got Vizslas behind and a lot of Wolfhouses and things like that. Russ's dog is not going to be quick, but he doesn't need to be. He's just standing in front of you and flatten you, so it has to be said. So let's see how they get on. Maybe one day we'll do a DCG for dogs. Amazing how many riders do have dogs. Now, before it all goes absolutely mental, which can't be all that far away in my humble opinion, just taking a little bit of a look. Looks like Barton's here. Julie... Chloe Gagan in the group. Johnson's in here. So this is going to form a nice little pack here. And about 39 seconds in front, we've got Canham and Brownsword. Then we've got Ferren. We've got Dixon in here. Finney's just up the road. He's closing in on Bartlett and Cannon at the moment. We've got Taylor and Sutcliffe together. Then looks like Ted at the moment just distance from that group. Not like Ted to be distanced. To be looking for a pack because one of our absolute stalwarts of the gang and a ride leader regularly on the Zwift Academy arrives as well. So great to see Ted on the gang as always. Russ at the moment just seems to be going back. He's just picked the bottle up. Now he's on his way back to chase back on again. So Russ has had to stop and get a bottle. It means that Ted's on his wheel here. Now, Ted, if you fancy a launch pad back here, maybe Russ is the man to follow. He's already put in his feather flag on a downhill section, so he's clearly flustered. Let's see. Yeah, Ted's saying, no, not fancy sitting on that wheel. So, Russ trying to chase back in to the back of the pack. The pack at the moment are, let's take a little bit of a look. Is anybody being naughty? Maybe we should just let them do it. Shall we? I quite fancy that idea. It'd be really mean, though. Well, the numbers are not silly at the front. That's everybody just waiting. Nobody wants to poke the bear. They know there's plenty more hills to come. Remember, we're now on our run back across towards the main part of the circuit where the start-finish line is. We'll have one more lap to go. Let's see who's going to be in with the group. Russ already starting to come into sight. You can just see that pillar of light there. So he's got a little bit of work to do. He's about 7 seconds off the very back of the group at the moment. Just pushing just under 6 watts per kilo. So Russ had to just grab a bottle, distracted by me on the phone. So you can thank me for that later, guys, if you're enjoying the fact that Russ is actually having to work pretty hard here. Just coming up on Craig Genther, Mr. Thorpe, Mr. Crease, Lone Rider here. time to jump on, and I think Mr. Genther there waiting, because we know Craig Genther more than capable of ripping it up on the front. So this group here now working together to stretch this out. And just Craig Genther just dropping back to give him a hand there. I think Thorpe doing the same. Great to see riders going back and helping the beacon onto the back of the group. That is what it's all about. So just seeing the team drop back, help out the riders, and Mark Thorpe doing the business once again. Great to see he's gone and helped out, and that's what it's all about. It's about getting these groups together to work together to keep everybody all in one piece. This slight drop down to the left-hand turn is -2%. It is an interesting part of the route. We come up it on fan flats in the opposite direction, and the kick out from that corner is pretty decisive if you are out and racing this. And you just see this gang really is still fractured, even though Russ just about to get in touch with the front of the group. So just taking a look at the very front of the group, and the pack pretty much all just nicely holding the numbers, just letting Russ get back on. So our beacon's going to make it, I think, into the pack. You can just see him coming on his way through now. So it looks like everybody just about getting back in touch, getting together. A couple of groups starting to get detached, and no doubt the front one now suddenly push on once they see the beacon is back on. Often you can see the gaps will start to open behind, and it's dangerous being behind the yellow beacon. You'll stay in with the group, and it could well be we're going to see Brad Cheeseman and Bobby Mason in trouble here. I think Ruth Taylor is in the group behind there. Ruth, one of the really strong riders on the Chaingang at the moment, just being distanced out of that main part of the gang there, and just getting left behind by the power of the pack together, but in some great company. Got Lone Rider in there. We've got Bobby Mason, and got Malin in this group as well. Shelley Charles is not all that far up the road on the back of the pack, so they're working well. That chasing group, I don't think they're going to get back in touch. This front group, though, really is motoring on, and if you lose that pack, you are so quickly in trouble now once the pace picks up. So Jess Evans in this group. We've got Carl Kaplinski still in here. Looks like young Mr. Oliver in the gang. Mark Thorpe's in here. Tom Elliott in the group as well. Now Tom, another of our regular riders on the Chaingang, and man who we know can finish very, very strongly indeed in the blue. But this group, this is our leading group. They've just come through the line. It's less than one lap to go. So less than one lap left to go as these riders come diving down this slope into this fast descent. So really interesting to see the messages coming from the Red Beacon group as well. Everybody looking after each other, which is what we want on the Chaingang. Just in with Elliot at the moment. He's one of our riders who we know is very quick. Chris Ball in here as well. Tim Corby holding in here. Mr. Singleton, Jimmy Allen, A.D. Dench back in with the gang. Dick Samuels in here. Looks like Altaf Hussein still in with the gang at this stage. Is he going to be able to hold in there? Mr. Tuki's holding in. Scott Easter is in the mob here, still holding nicely. And the go-go-go has gone. The go-go-go has gone. This is when things get very interesting indeed. We're going to take a little bit of a look. We're going to watch from the front of this group, because at the moment it looks to me like it is going to be all over the road. Tunnicliffe at the moment is holding the front just about, but this gang is really starting to stretch it out. And I think we've got young Mr. Oliver putting a big dig in on the front there in the BC kit. However, quickly over the top, everybody's going for this. Who's going to be taking it on? It is Manning pushing hard, but it looks to be like Xander Graham has gone early here. He knows he's going to come on to the climb, so can he do a bottle hand across? It'd be very cool to see if he can manage that as he's on the climb. We'll see if the guys can answer this. It's Brownlee who is chasing at the moment, behind Xander. So at the moment it's Brownlee in the Scott jersey who is chasing now. Who is going to pull this back? I think Drabble now putting the work in to bring the gas back. They're going to be putting out a lot more power. So let's take a little look here. So we've got Xander Graham putting out 370 watts over 10 watts per kilo. Drabble is at 62 at 10 watts per kilo. So you can do the maths. He's 62 kilos, I reckon. We've got Fraser here for one of the fast men. So he's kicking along at about 8 watts per kilo, and definitely in a different category to the very, very lightweight riders. So over the top goes Xander Graham, the man who's been seen on pretty much everybody's internet feed and on the BBC News even on the way through, coming over the top at the moment. But can he hold them off behind? He's really got to work hard now because he's going to have a pack of cyclists behind all wanting to close him down. That's the first of the big hills done. So it's like Russ has had a bit of a power drop out. Let's just bring you in the course map as Xander comes around these corners. Remember, he's just done the purple climb. He's on to the red climb now. And then he's got a flat section before the final big long climb. And that course profile. So he's on to the second of the climbs on the far side. You can see it is steep stuff on his way up here, but he has got another climb still to do in the distance. Now, can he stay clear? The chase is on behind, but they've got work to do. This pack at the moment is sitting at 15 seconds. You can just see if we take a look down that hillside. The 20% part of the gradient is done now. John Wild is in here. John could be considered at the other end of the spectrum from young Mr. Xander Graham. He's one of the more mature riders. He's not definitely the oldest by any stretch of the imagination. That generally goes to Mr. Kipling, who's got exceedingly good legs. But we'll see if these riders can now work together to pull back the race lead. It should be doable. So just going to drop back down to Russ at the moment. So all of our riders getting personal bests on the way up over the top of the climb. So this pack with a Wild, Drabble and Brownlee Fraser looks like Atkinson as well, all glued together as they come down. Now you might have noticed we are missing a certain young Mr. Xander Graham on the front of the group, and I think what we're going to find is he's had a drop out on his way through, coming through the in the event there. So we're just going to have to keep our eyes on that, because it looks like he's certainly got on our screens. Now this means it's left the door open for this group, and Xander will have to be coming back in again. We're just waiting to see what that comes up with. So Fraser in here in Scott, just having a look. So it looks like Xander has fallen foul of the perennial problem for our young riders. They will looks like Xander's going to be back in touch with the gang at Zwift, because if you are so quick as Xander was then, you can get flagged up for being able to produce inordinate amounts of watts per kilo, but that is because you're so light. So it looks like Xander has been flagged up by Swift, which means he can see us, but none of us can see him. So we'll rely on them giving us some updates of where he is out on the course. I don't think he was going to get any assistance from this lot, but it has meant that the impetus has gone out of the chase. So let's see what is going to happen, and I'm sure we're going to see Xander and Co just making sure that they get back in touch. So a disappointing end. That spoiled the chase there, but it does mean door is open for these guys because they have the advantage because they're heavier. Although they might not be able to get up the hills as quick, it does mean you don't get flagged as easily because it's almost impossible to produce the amount of power that the youngsters do in terms of watts per kilo because you're not quite as light. So keeping a check on the riders at the front at the moment, and Brownlee leading this out at the moment in that Scott jersey. Second wheel, Cam Fraser in the blue there, the Sigma Sport, non-Sigma Sport rider in there. Dan Hepton, the VC Ardennes coming through the multicoloured jersey. Then John Wild in the black coming up. Drabble is in here. Drabble, of course, in that BC, the British Cycling kit there, that GBR kit. All 5 riders working well, and still a little way to go to the climb. They've got the sharp right-hand turnies where it kicks. Now, if they work together, they will be able to hold off this bunch behind, but this is a real who's who behind. If we take a look at this group, we're going to try and get up above them. We've got AD Dench, we've got Russ Downing in here. Russ going up onto the front. Craig Genther sits on his wheel. Shelley Childs in here, another rider who always finishes well. It's got Tom Elliott in here in the blue kit just on this side. I think that's going to be Mr. Atkinson in here. Neil from the Crosscast is in here as well. And looks like Mr. Allen, the other Mr. Allen in the group. Looks like Matlock just about holding this group together. But it is the chasing pack, currently 13 seconds down on our leaders. They come up onto the hill. They've got to try and pull this gap back. They've got to pull the gap back. Brownlee continuing to work with the rest of the mob, trying to keep the pressure on. You can see what the gap is. We're just going to keep a look back behind them and watch for that chasers to come. Here they come. Here comes the beacon. So that group is behind. The gap at the moment is at 11 seconds, so it's come down 2 seconds at the moment. They are starting to close in. Remember, this is the last climb, but it's a big brute of a climb. It's well over 1.5 km long, straight up this hillside. And when you get to the top, it then drags a lot over the top. Now, that gap is coming down, being led now by Mason. Mason leading this group, but in front of him. If we spin the camera around and get it up in the air, you can see the group that they're chasing just in front here. So it's Gareth Mason, the fat cyclist, Russ Downing, and just dropping back with that chevron on Johnny Atkinson now in second wheel. Atkinson can see big close down. Looks like Drabble has got a drop out here. Either that or he's just exploded. So Drabble just out of the running here. So he's gone backwards. So Drabble out of the hunt. Mason goes over the top. And Mason just opening up a little bit of a gap here on Atkinson and on Elliott, who are working to close the gap down. Then it's Downing and Genther. Dench just about holding on with Mallock and Scott Easter. And looks like Mr. Drabble's power meter's down. That's a very fast power, quick change over there. I think he's just had to switch across. That's not what you want when you are in a leading group with these guys. These are our leaders. It is Alistair Brownlee on the front at the moment, leading the gang out. Dan Hepton of VCR Dens in the group. We've got John Wild in this group. We've got Cam in it here as well. Cam, one of our very fast riders, really good. Had a little chat with him on the way back from Brands Hatch the other week, in fact. And it was great to catch up and see just whether he's got the power to go clear to leave behind Alistair Brownlee as they come in to the finishing circuit. But we have Wild behind. We've got Hepton behind. Currently giving away 3 seconds, giving away a further 14 seconds, this group here, and they are really going to have their work cut out. It's a big group though. Johnny Atkinson now takes up the reins, takes up the pulling on the front of the group. Russ moving up, Mason just dropping back a little bit. Elliott in the blue moves to the left, just starting to pull up onto the gang as they go over the top here. This is where this group could really score. They can put the power down. Can they do enough though to close down on our leaders? And it looks like that gap is opening the power of Brownlee and Fraser at the moment. These two riders, and interesting to see that Fraser's gone disc wheel because it's more aerodynamic, it's better on these fast sections. He must have been confident on the climbs. They've got 8 seconds now on Wild. I think we're going to see a little bit of a reset as they come through here. I'm going to keep an eye on that time check because I don't think it is actually as far as that. It may well be, but I'm pretty sure it's not as far as the cameras are saying on there. It's saying it's currently at about 8 to 9 seconds. Well, that is a huge gap for our two leaders. If that is the case, then it means that those gaps really have opened up. Brownlee continuing to work here. 5.4 watts per kilo, 5.6 for Fraser as he's on the back, just getting some draft assistance on his way through here. Then it's the duo of Wild and Hepton, currently in 3rd and 4th place. 5th place, well, it's this big bunch fighting for 5th behind Russ Downing. 80 Dench in the red, Craig Genther in the Downing cycling kit like Russ in all black. We've got a number of riders in the mix. Scott Easter with the black kit, just riding. So Scott on a yellow bike. We've got Mason in black as well. We're going to try and jump on Mr. Mason, easier said than done. So with the yellow bike, that is Scott Easter on the front. With the grey and red bike, gone for the lighter option. The Manstein lightweights is Mason, confident of his power, but not so confident on the hills. 80 Dench with the red bikes and beers at the top. Then you've got Russ, and you've got Matlock sat in here to a great right here at the moment. The man sat in this gang. Looks like he's riding very strongly indeed, riding on a Tron bike. Interestingly, only one rider in this group is riding a Tron bike. The guys at the front got Hepton, well, he's on a Tron bike, but Brownlee and Fraser definitely not riding a Tron, both actually riding some fairly deep wheels to get the aerodynamic advantage on the way through. So pushing on at the moment, gap 13 seconds back to Wild and Hepton. 25 seconds now to Downing, Genther, Atkinson, Mason and Matlock. Elliott in that group as well. Craig Genther, I think, just pushing to stay in with that pack. Then it's going to be 1:17 down to this group containing Ben from VeloViewer. Looks like Manning is in here, Oliver's in here, Jeffrey's in this group. Gilmore's in here, so looks like Gilmore just holding in there. Somebody who knows all about getting flagged by Zwift, having to take that limiter off. Shelley Childs is in this group as well. Looks like Coos is in the pack, but they give away 35 seconds to this group with 80 Dench. Russ in here with Craig Genther now leading the charge, trying to pull back. You can see Hepton and Wild here, and they are going to get company. You can just see Genther is coming here. He's going to try and bridge across the gap. He's dragging the group with him, and that's going to leave two riders out front. And that means that this pack will increase in size. It's got great riders with Hepton and Wild in this group coming back into the pack here. So the catch is made by Genther. It becomes a group of 3 chasers chasing 2 riders, but here comes the rest of the group, and this pack is just starting to close down in on these riders. We're going to get the drone up just so we get a better view of this. So at the moment, our 2 leaders 25 seconds clear of this increased pack, this increased size group. However, it is fairly fractured. Not everybody able to stay with the pace of that chase as they come through at the front, though. No sign of slowing down for these 2 riders. So it's Fraser leading this out at the moment. He's got Brownlee on his wheel. Brownlee now pushes on. Very well matched. These 2 are working well together. Brownlee now comes up onto the front, and Brownlee it is who's leading through this Giro. So Brownlee from Fraser at the moment. The gap is 27 seconds. You can see that pillar of light behind them. That is our beacon. That's Russ Downing. Russ in here in this big group. So just go and have a look. Russ currently at 143 beats per minute. Russ got some spare there. Let's see if he's going to be able to kick on in. Their time is running out for them, though. They know that they've got to get a wriggle on. They're going down this straight. They're going to see the other 2, our 2 leaders, coming in the opposite direction as they go around the turn. At the moment, the 2 leaders just going underneath the gantry. That's the kind of distance we've got between these 2 groups. So it is very, very tight at the front of the race at the moment. You've got the chasing group trying to close down on our 2 leaders. Brownlee at the moment just set a new personal best time through that sprint time. But if you take a look behind you, can see the chasing pack behind her now at 30 seconds coming underneath the arch. These 2 riders are going to flip around the U-turn here, and when they do, they're going to be able to see Russ and those chasers coming through in the opposite direction. You're going to see them on the other side of the road coming through the trees any second now. So that's the chasing pack behind. They're going into that turn. At the moment, it certainly looks to me like these 2 have got a clear run to the finish. It's down 33 seconds. And I think there's a little bit of messing about behind here because we're seeing some very low numbers. We're seeing 3s and 2s as people are not wanting to take up the chase on the front. The pack is 3-4 riders wide on the front, and that means that this chasing group are not going to close it down. They need to get the finger out here. They are giving away the win to either Alistair Brownlee or Cam Fraser here. One of these 2 is likely to take this. Remember, this is a long straight run. The course on the other side of the road will diverge. It will go off to the side. We'll see these 2 riders continue to charge onwards towards the gantry. It's the UCI gantry they're going to be looking for. That pillar of light behind, now down to 28 seconds from Russ. Russ is putting in a concerted dig behind to bring the gap down. Not everybody can stay with it. So that gap at the moment not coming down for the riders. If we take a jump back in to the group with Downing and Gang, it looks to me like they've got about 27 seconds now down. So it has come down, but it's not coming down enough. There's not enough time that they've got to increase that rate of pursuit to bring these 2 back. You can just see that the yellow beacon out around the far side there. Brownlee at the moment 133 beats per minute. If we jump across to Fraser, 177 beats per minute for Fraser. He's already pushing big heart rate up there. Brownlee at the moment, he's ticking over 129 beats per minute. Flipping heck, that is what you call one fit boy. Flipping Ada. What a pace they're setting. They're doing 47 kph. They're holding off Tom Elliott, Craig Genthard, John Wilde, holding off Scott Easter, Johnny Atkinson, Adi Dench, Matt Lott, getting rid of Dan Hepton. They've got rid of Russ Downing. And Brownlee at the moment, 133 beats per minute. Now they're going to take this left-hand turn. How much time will they give away on this descent? Remember, this is a fast descent, and the group behind starting to catch up a little bit here. 21 seconds now. Genthard got to be ruined the day that he let those 2 go. He's very strong. We know he can take the win on this. What he needs to do is be in the right place at the right time. At the moment, the people in the right place at the right time are these 2. Alistair Brownlee and Cam Fraser, and the 2 riders going through at the moment looking incredibly strong indeed. So round that right hand turn, steadily picking up the pace. That left-right chicane done now. Continuing to head in. They've got to keep this pace nice and high. Who is going to take this? Not much time left to do your finessing between the 2 riders as they make their way down here. We're going to keep on going a little bit longer. They're going to go past the sprint sign on the right hand side. They've got to go a little bit further on. Now it's going to be over 49k, I reckon, before we get in to the finish. If we take a zoom out, it's going to come in at the top of that map. We've taken a little look at these 2 riders. Their gap now at 19 seconds. I think they know that they're secure, and now it's about making sure they get the timing right to get the win. If we take a look down the road, they are now heading onto the straight. You can see that gantry in front. It is going to be between these 2 riders. Now Fraser starts to make a little bit of a move here, but Brownlee is on the side. Brownlee now continues to push here. Now goes Fraser just put in a huge kick, but he backs it straight off once again. Is he trying to get Brownlee to blink here? Because at the moment, Fraser is sat on the back of Brownlee. This is the gantry coming up. Time is running out. Brownlee's up at 8.3 watts per kilo. He backs off again. Now Fraser's saved a power up. So is Brownlee. Fraser goes for this. He's got a little bit of a gap on Brownlee. Can Brownlee respond to this? Fraser is going to take this because Brownlee has got nothing left whatsoever. Coming into the line, he takes the victory. It is Cam Fraser taking the win. Behind him then, Brownlee sets second place. Then it is going to be a fast chasing Russ Downing coming across for third. Gensler takes fourth. It's then going to be a Matlock, Wild, Dench. All of this group coming through just clear of Scott Easter. Absolutely phenomenal racing on the way in. Now, this is our next group. They are lining up for this sprint into the finish. We've got Oliver up on the front. We've got Gilmore in, I think, no man's land. Just taking a little bit of a look who he's going to take this out. Let's jump in with Neil. Let's see how he's going on his new direct drive turbo trainer. Has he got the power to leave this lot behind? He's up against some powerful riders here. Kooslugs is very quick when it comes in to a sprint as well. Manning on the front from the 3RT team. Currently just leading this out. The gantry is coming. Kooslugs opens it up though, and it's going to be Kooslugs who's going to lead them in here. If I'm not much mistaken, he has got company though. Kooslugs has got Ben from Fellow Viewer on his heels at the moment, but it's going to be Kooslugs who's going to get it. Then it's Ben from Fellow Viewer. Then it's going to be Danger Allen. Then Neil from the Crosscast, Jeffries, Charles, and Oliver. Manning is going to come through just behind this group. So he goes through that line. Then it's going to be Tukey, but Tukey has got riders coming up fast here. Taylor is coming quick. Can Taylor close down on Tukey? Does Tukey know where the finish is? It'll be a minor miracle if he does. He never knows where the finish is, but he looks like he's worked it out today. Will he be able to nail it as he goes in? He's keeping the revs high. Currently at 3.3. He's trying to hold off Taylor behind, but look at this. Chris Darby is on a massive charge here. Darby's going for that line. Darby's going to make this, so it is going to be Chris Darby who's going to do this. Chris is another of our regular red beakers. He comes into the line, so it's Chris Darby who takes it. And then just behind Jess rides bike, so Jess coming in for our first female rider. Behind them, then everybody else pushing in to the line. We're going to drop it back to see Mr. Gilmore, who's just steadily rolling his way in here. He's got to be careful as Matt Gilmore because Matt could get caught here. Carl Kapinski is no slouch, but neither are any of these riders in this group here. You can just see them looking, starting to edge here. John Garfort's got a kick, so is Osman. They're closing down. I think Gilmore's just going to roll it into the line here. But up at the front of this, you can just see, I think it's going to be Osman who's going to take it. Corby, and then Garfort, Gale, Clark. Coming through, Barry Kipling, we told you he was quick. Then looks like Chris Heseltine, Jay's in there, Steve Farrand in there. Carl just rolling his way through the line. Not sure Carl anything left. Good to see Carl back on the bike. Remember, Carl, of course, recovering from a major smash and making his way in. Next up, it's going to be the fight between Aaron Roberts and Simon Runnett. They're our next two riders. So in they come coming through. Great to see the results there. Dick Samuel at the moment just in front of Woodall. Woodall's got company with Dowd Leash and Leach on the way through. Okay, so just getting news that young Xander Graham out on his own with no assistance because he was unable to see anybody, and we couldn't see him. Xander Graham coming through, just finished just behind Russ in that ride. Can't wait till we keep him on screen all the way through the ride. Let's see how he fares against the likes of Woodall, against Leach, who's on his way in here. Taylor Leach coming through just ahead, I think, of Liam Callaway. Dan Farrand doing a great ride here. Callaway's just going to hold off a bit on a bike. Oh, that was so tight there between these two. Then Callaway. Then it's going to be this next group here. Now, who's going to lead this out? We all know all four of these riders absolutely want to give it big beans. I'm going to just jump in with Finn Donahue at the moment. He's leading this sprint out. Behind him, you can just see Briggs, Hilbert and Howcroft. Tim Howcroft being caught out a little bit there, and I think Donahue is going to take this. He does. So it's Donahue, then it's Briggs, so then it's going to be Hilbert and Howcroft coming through. Darryl Tatchell-Waller, he had a weird ride tonight. There's no other way to describe it. Not in the mix. He's often in the fight for the win. Not to be today. So Tasha Waller just rolling his way up towards the line, being chased by Trevor Crehan. So Crehan, then it's going to be a Wingy heading in, then I think Darren Cooling, then it's going to be a Mason. There are riders at the moment as Darren Tasha Waller comes in towards the line. So Tasha Waller goes through the finish. Crehan follows him through. Then it's going to be a Wingy behind then. It's going to be all about is Cooling going to hold off the group behind there at 5 seconds at the moment. I think Darren Cooling should have this after his hill climb exploits on Sunday evening. Bouncing out of the BSL studio straight up to Hardwick Hall hill climb. It's great to see Darren in action. The group behind at the moment, well, this could be a real fight here because we've got some real names. So we're going to just drop away from Darren here because this is going to be another sprint, I think, here. So just to see Malin, I think, going to lead them in behind Malin, though. There is a bigger chase coming. Brad Cheeseman is going to try and take this off Malin. Cooling sprints in to make sure he takes that finish. Then it's going to be Malin, Cheeseman, Ball, Ian Taylor from 1080, Lone Ryan, Ian O'Brien, Bobby Mason, Langmead coming in there. Jimmy Allen coming in with them. And I think Maddie Smith is going to be chasing to the line. So Maddie's going to be our next rider in. Of course, former national cross champion on her way, heading towards the finish. So once Maddie comes through, I think we're going to try and jump back across to catch up with Russ. We're going to let Sander grab himself some recovery this time. We'll try and catch up with him next time he's on the Chaingang. Hopefully we'll get the flagging lifted on him. We'll see. As Maddie now comes in towards the line. So she's got the 23rd Street jersey. She comes in towards the line. She's going to come through. Our next finisher here is Maddie Smith. She's coming in ahead of Dan Ladle. Now Ladle's on his way in towards the line. We're going to jump in. We're going to try and get hold of Russ. And as soon as we do, we'll jump in with him as well. Always entertaining, trying to juggle absolutely everybody simultaneously. But should have online Russ down in the bear himself. Is the bear still breathing? Bet that hurt.
Yes. Yeah, it did. I didn't. Didn't need a power drop out when I was just about to up the pace.
No, definitely not. And looks like Mr. Brownlee and Cam there were having a right old battle. Not surprisingly, because I mean they're two absolutely class riders, aren't they?
Yeah, I was watching them on. Like you said, I think you said, they're evenly matched here. I could just imagine them side by side, flicking each other's elbow and staring at each other just as they went down that. Where we saw them on the app in like 5K to go. I was having a chuckle to myself, going, I bet that'd be funny if that was IRL.
Yeah, definitely. It was interesting to watch the heart rates as well. 176 for Cam. Then Working, he was right up there. Alistair was on about 136 at the time. It was just crazy numbers. Crazy low.
Like his style, There's no point in making your heart beat when you don't have to, is there?
yeah, right, okay. Well, we'll remember that one, Russ. I'm going to pick on you on the hill next time I give you a phone call. I think the course did okay. What marks out of 10 for the course today? What are you going to give it?
I give it 10 out of 10 for race ability, workout ability, but for keeping it together, like you said, you didn't have much faith in me, but it was brilliant. I'm not quite going to say it's brilliant now as I'm just bowling round it, because I put a 48 ring on just so I could save my legs for the first 2 laps, to get up the steep bits. And now when I'm only going like 8k an hour, it's really hurting.
Yeah, I bet it is. Yeah. Just seeing Ruth Taylor going through, another rider who we know is going to be on the Women Only Wednesdays, Donny Chaingang, and that's going to be great to see the riders busy on that. And we got Mr. Brownsword. I think this could be his first ride on the Chaingang here today, so great to see he's out and riding. And I got another of the Bolsover gang. This time it is Mick Taylor, just chasing him towards the line.
Yeah, and it's great to have these there's new people on. I hope they weren't put off tonight because that was an absolutely solid course. So, Tuesdays is normally the harder one. So, don't be put off by it. Come back Thursday and we'll have a really strong blob and an even better gang. But it's a great workout. It ain't easy. It's the DCG and everyone loves it. And I hope everyone did tonight.
Yep, definitely. Just seeing Carl Johnson after his red beacon duties discharged, just having a wind up in towards the line now that he knows everybody's on the last sort of run in. So just watching him kicking in towards the line. So Carl, of course, our red beacon here today, he's just approaching the line. Just going to keep an eye on these two because I think this could be quite interesting here. This is Shepherd and Matt here, so going to be interesting to see how these two get on.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen. Sam's not been online for a bit. I saw him at the Bradfield Hill climb, and he was, raring to go to get back on the gang. I think he likes to ride outside and all that. And the Dark Nights, he's back online, and he'll be loving it.
Yeah, and he's absolutely flying. We know he's going to go for it when it comes to sprint. He's going for it now as he goes in towards the gantry. Final little kick there. Takes him through just ahead of Matt, and then it's going to be, I think, Dr. D coming through just ahead of Chloe Gagan, a teammate of our beacon for the Women's Wednesdays, because another Aeonian rider on the Chaingang, and I know you're not going to think it's quite as good a strip as the kit on the for Downing Cycling, but it's not a bad kit, and it's certainly definitely easy to recognise.
It's pretty bright, I'll give it that one, but no, yeah, joking apart, I do like that kit, and I didn't realise Chloe was online tonight. It said that many people tonight, but great effort. Chloe's been on the open one for a long time now, and I bet she's revving up, ready for the winter series. She'll have some teammates on board, and they'll be able to do some tactics and all that, won't they? So,
well, they will.
Looking forward to watching that.
I think it's going to be really interesting because there's some really strong squads, and we know just like on the standard DCG, on the Open DCG, we are going to get a lot of riders coming through who are going to be riding and racing consistently through the winter. So, as you say, going to be really interesting to see. Well, we've got Mr. Canham on his way in, and it's going to be quite a quick wrap-up tonight, it has to be so, which means I'm going to let you get off and get warm, finish your warm down and get that OTE recovery drink down your neck.
Yeah, like you say, it's quite a quick wrap-up there, and that's not bad to say. It was a really hard 50k, and I don't feel like I've just been warming down. Yeah, I've only done 3.5k warm down, so that's not bad to keep everyone that tight and getting it done.
Definitely getting it done. Well, great stuff, Russ, and we'll catch up with you on Thursday. We're back out once again, and I'm actually looking forward to it. We won't give any clues away where it's going to go. Members of the DCG gang, you know where you're heading. You've got all the details, and please remember, make sure if you can, join the DCG gang, the Donny Chaingang Sports Club, because quite simply keeps the show on the road. And to say thank you, Russ and I make sure you get all of the links as priority. You're the guys who keep us rolling, so we keep you rolling first and foremost.
Yeah, great night, gang, and see you Thursday. Rest up.
Well, great to catch up with Russ. And now just watching Chris Cannon. Chris just going to tick his way in and underneath the gantry there. So Chris coming through to finish, and now just the warm down for Chris to do. So we are going to let Chris make his way down through those roads. I want to say a massive thank you for watching. Massive thank you to all of our riders up on the screen today. They do make my life very entertaining. I love making sure that we get as many people on as possible. Remember, if you want to join in, you can just join up for a ride. It's free, single ride at a time. And to do so, go on to the links off the Facebook page or off the website. You can register for a single ride 25 hours before. It cuts off 1 hour before. We then get rid of people, things, machines, spam bots, etc. that don't need to be there. And that leaves us with a quality gang like you saw tonight on the Donny Chaingang here on the Downing Cycling YouTube channel with me, Matt Payne. Keep it rubber side down. Enjoy your riding over the next couple of days. I'll see you on Thursday for the Donny Chaingang.